Chandragupta Maurya, founder of Maurya Dynasty, ruler of Iron Age South Asia, who expanded a geographically extensive kingdom based in Magadha. Chandragupta Maurya, whose parents were Sarvathashidhi Maurya and Mura Maurya, laid the foundations of the first state to unite most of India. Under the tutelage of Chanakya, created an empire on the principles of statecraft and built a large army, continued expanding the boundaries of his empire. His grandson was Ashoka the Great. The early life of Chandragupta Maurya is unclear as per Sinhalese Buddhist tradition. His father was the chief of the Maurya clan, and was killed in a battle. His mother escaped to Patliputra with the help of her brothers. His maternal uncles helped a cowherd adopt him, who sold him to a hunter who employed him to tend cattle. Once when the young Chandragupta was creating a mock game of a royal court that he and his cowherd friends were playing near Vincha forest, Chanakya saw and bought him from the hunter and adopted Chandragupta. He was admitted in Taxila to study the Vedas, military arts, law, and other sastras, taught by Chanakya. Chandragupta's army conquered the Nanda capital Pataliputra around 322 BCE with Chanakya's counsel, after Alexander ended his campaign and left India in 325 BCE. By 321 BCE, Chandragupta was on the throne of Magadha, kick-starting a reign of 24 years. Once in control of the large empire that the Nandas had left, Chandragupta also expanded its territory. Records show that he camped north of the Narmada in central India. In 305 BCE, he was back on the northwest frontier of the subcontinent, taking on the might of the Greek king Seleucus Nicator. Seleucus Nicator was one of Alexander's Macedonian generals who in 312 BCE established the Seleucid kingdom with its capital at Babylon, brought Persia and Bactria under his own authority, putting his eastern front facing the empire of Chandragupta. Seleucus and Chandragupta waged war until they came to an understanding with each other. Seleucus married off his daughter to Chandragupta to forge an alliance. After annexing Seleucus provinces west of the Indus River, Chandragupta had a vast empire extending across the northern Indian subcontinent from the Bay of Bengal to the Arabian Sea. Chandragupta began expanding his empire southwards beyond the Vindhya range and into the Deccan Plateau. By the time his conquests were complete, Chandragupta's empire extended over most of the subcontinent. Acharya Bhadravahu was the spiritual teacher of Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta along with Chanakya passed a series of major economic and political reforms and established a strong central administration from Pataliputra, now Patna. Chandragupta applied the statecraft and economic policies described in Chanakya's text Arthashastra. There are varying accounts in the historic, legendary, and hagiographic literature of various Indian religions about Chandragupta's rule. The Maurya rule was a structured administration. Chandragupta had a council of ministers, with Chanakya as his chief minister. The empire was organized into territories, centers of regional power were protected with forts, and state operations were funded with treasury. Strabo, Greek geographer, in his Geographica compose about 300 years after Chandragupta's death, describes various aspects of his rule. He had councillors for matters of justice and assessors to collect taxes on commercial activity and trade goods. He routinely performed Vedic sacrifices, Brahmanical rituals, and hosted major festivals marked by procession of elephants and horses. His officers inspected situations requiring law and order in the cities. The crime rate was low. Chandragupta's rule was marked by three parallel administrative structures. One managed the affairs of villages, ensuring irrigation, recording land ownership, monitoring tools supply, enforcing hunting, wood products and forest-related laws, and settling disputes. Another administrative structure managed city affairs, including all matters related to trade, merchant activity, visit of foreigners, harbors, roads, temples, markets, and industries. They also collected taxes and ensured standardized weights and measures. The third administrative body overlooked the military, its training, its weapons supply, and the needs of the soldier. Chanakya was concerned about Chandragupta's safety and developed elaborate techniques to prevent assassination attempts. Various sources report Chandragupta frequently changed bedrooms to confuse conspirators. He left his palace only for certain tasks, to go on military expeditions, to visit his court for dispensing justice, to offer sacrifices, for celebrations, and for hunting. During celebrations, he was well guarded, and on hunts, he was surrounded by female guards who were presumed to be less likely to participate in a coup conspiracy. These strategies may have resulted from the historical context of the Nanda king who had come to power by assassinating the previous king. The empire built a strong economy from a solid infrastructure such as irrigation, temples, mines, and roads. According to Jain texts, Chandragupta, in his last days, renounced his throne to follow Jain ascetic Bhadrabahu, who had predicted a major 12-year drought in his kingdom. Chandragupta and his teacher are said to have spent months meditating here. After Bhadrabahu's death, Chandragupta is said to have followed the Jain practice of Salikhana, i.e. fasting to death. While some historians have questioned the veracity of the story, penned hundreds of years after Chandragupta's death, the legend lives on. In fact, in Chandragiri, you will find the place where Chandragupta meditated with his guru and where he passed on, into the sunset, over the hill. It was a quiet end to a life full of action and glory for a boy who rose to become an emperor.